situation you don't realize. So let's examine with a critical eye. Put on your glasses and let it magnify the truth that lies hidden under all those lies. Cause everybody has nobility, and if you look beyond what your eyes can see, you'll see they're just like you and me, and now we're giving you the remedy. Welcome to the Remedy Podcast. This podcast is a project of WEBB Squared, a North Carolina nonprofit that works to increase wealth for Black businesses through connection, network, and opportunity. Our host is Stephanie Terry, the Executive Director of WEBB Squared, and our co-hosts are Associate Director Rinnie and myself, Mashallah Salaam. I am the Media and Production Specialist. In this podcast, we hope to bring consciousness to the racial divide and speak on emerging new narratives about race. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you will enjoy the podcast.
Welcome to the Remedy Podcast. Hey, I'm Rinnie and I'm the Associate Director of WEBB Squared.
This podcast, Doggone It Friday.
And that's Stephanie Terry, the Executive Director of WEBB Squared.
They know my big mouth by now. Hey, Mashallah.
Hi.
I'm supposed to sound peppy for y'all, but we keep it real in our podcast. And it's like Friday at 7, and it's been a long week. And
so how was everybody's week?
Long.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking about Imposter Syndrome and just dealing with that, and how it's just really been on my mind this week, and wanting to do things right and wanting to, prove that I can do things.
It's called the fake it till you make it syndrome. You ever heard that before, Mashallah?
Yeah, I've heard of fake it till you make it.
You heard that? I know you heard that before, Rinnie.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that though, because I don't want to fake it. I want to be genuine. I want to be authentic. And if I don't know something, I don't want to pretend like I do, because I'm afraid I'll mess everything up. So I don't know how I feel about that phrase.
Yeah, well, there's that, and there's also leaning into a bigger vision of yourself. And there's something really powerful about acting as if, because, Mashallah, explain to me how it felt. Was it like a part of you that knows you can do it, and then there was another part of you saying, no, you can't? Or explain what were the voices going on inside your consciousness?
I think in the back of my mind, there was always a slight fear of messing up. So when something happened that felt like I messed up, it really bothered me to the point of having anxiety. And the thing, it could easily be fixed, but it just the idea or the thought of not having done something perfect made me feel just really anxious, even though it was still in the process, it wasn't even finished yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Rinnie, you've ever felt that?
Yeah, it was just hearing what you said about feeling like it's not perfect. And then, I think that over the last few years, I've kind of adopted a principle for myself that it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, I know for a fact that I often, in my art and stuff, I leave things deliberately unperfect, because I know that perfection is just kind of an illusion to begin with. And, we're just human. We do the best we can. And sometimes that's good enough, I think.
Yeah, we're perfect in our imperfection. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
I think I said this on a podcast before, but it's worth saying again. A baby, a little sweet, cute, fluffy, dimply baby. It can't read or make dinner or use the bathroom, but it's perfect in the stage that it's in.
Yeah.
And then so we're always growing, so we're essentially perfect in the stages that we are. And then imagine, I don't know, Mashallah, you haven't had kids yet. Rinnie, you've seen children growing up. When they are trying to learn how to walk or feed themselves or put shoes on or whatever it is they're trying to do, man, they keep trying. They cry though when they can't do it, but they don't stop. They will not stop until they figure it out, or they get the help that they need, So it's kind of like that, you know?
Yeah, I think sometimes we always, like, I don't know, as creators or workers or whatnot, we always get hung up on the end game, the end product, the end, and that somehow or other the end is like what we're striving for. But I think that the real journey is the process, and that's where we grow and that's where we learn. And you know, it's like we spend so much time focusing on the end is going to make us happy, but we forget that the real work is in the journey part and the process part. And that's the exciting place for me to be, for where I'm at in my life. Like, I used to be focused like you, Mashallah, on the perfection and the end game and what I'm trying to create. But now I'm like, I don't paint for that end product anymore. I paint just to play and have fun. And, you know, this business that we're building with WEBB Squared, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work, but you know, the process and the journey of it. I mean, we've been doing this for a year now, and we've learned so much and we've grown so much, and, you know, we still have so far to go. And I'm kind of excited about like every step of the way. Like, you know, I don't even know what it's going to all look like when we're done, but the journey is really fun.
That's true. Now, there's one area where I get like clamped up. Mashallah, I get all anxious and I get all like, oh my gosh, is this gonna be okay? And that's with writing. And Rinnie has helped me so much with that. When I have to write something, first off, I run my mouth all the time, so I should just be able to write. But when it's time for me to get it out, it's because I love writing so much. And I want it to be perfect, and I want it, like, I just put so much energy in thinking about, is it good? Is it people gonna like it? Is it? And you should literally see me just staring with my hands on the computer at the screen, and I'll have like 2 words. And in my head, I have like all these sentences, and I'm like, no, well, you know, no, you can't say that. Well, say this. No, you don't want to go there. And it's just like, it's crazy. It is so crazy. I mean, it was like, whoa, I couldn't get past it. And so, Rinnie, I think, I think you were like, okay, Stephanie, we're going to write. And we were sitting next to each other in the office. And I needed the physical presence of Rinnie to, like, I don't know, it was like she was holding my hands. And then all of a sudden, I was just writing. And I think it was because the expectation of Rinnie was like, you better have this.
Paching, I'm the taskmaster. We've got to have it before, you know.
You got to have it. But it was so much fun. And I was like, oh my God. And so, like, just the several times that we did that together kind of like unlocked, because I was locked up. So I guess everybody has their thing, right?
So, well, I have a question while we're on this. You know, we've been talking a lot about identity the last few weeks, like who we are and how we perceive ourselves. So where does this imposter syndrome fit into that? Like, we know who we are as human beings, and we know who we're not, but yet why do we get so caught up into, you know, a struggle in that space where we like feel like we're not good enough or we're imposters?
I think as a child and growing up in the school system, it felt like things were always a competition, like who could get this test done the fastest type of thing. And I knew that if I didn't take my time and pay close attention to the details, then I would probably mess up. So I would always take my time to look over things a few times before turning it in. And it made me feel like it made me feel bad that I had to take that time in order to get things the way that they needed to be or get things right. And it seemed like everybody else could just like quickly, I'll just fill it in like this and then just, you know, hand it in. But I just really wanted it to be right.
Yeah. I think that just to kind of turn this on its head a little bit, I think that there's a part of us that believes that we're not good enough. like wants to believe that we're not good enough. I think some of that is learned. And like even people that like, have you ever met people that boast and brag a lot?
Yeah.
And then like psychologists say, but really underneath that is because they're really so insecure. Have you ever heard that, Mashallah?
Yeah, and like I don't understand that. Like it doesn't make sense, I guess in a way, but I just can't relate. Like I feel like if I'm feeling insecure about something, I just keep my mouth shut.
Well, honey, keep living. You'll meet those people. They're constantly, projecting like they're on top of the world.
But if you like scrolled and spent some time on my Facebook page, you'll see like I'm like boasting about everything I'm doing. Like every other day, it's like the art, the podcast, the business, like all this stuff. And for me, part of it is not like I'm boasting, like I'm trying to like be really loud, but it's like I'm trying to like market and get the word out that we're doing good things, and so I could feel like maybe people might like get tired of like, oh my God, there she goes again, she's like, got another episode of the podcast, but so there's a fine line between like in business and in like our endeavors. We need to have some kind of boldness in the world in order to, if we're creators, we have to share what we create. We've got to show our work. And so I've been kind of feeling like, I used to be like someone who didn't post much about myself at all and brag about myself at all, and now I feel like I'm on all the time. And it's like a shift in mind and set, but it's also because, it's a marketing strategy.
Honey, I am not talking about you.
No, but...
You cannot, that is not what I'm talking about, Rinnie. I'm talking about like bullies.
Okay.
Okay, actually.
Okay, because I was like, oh my gosh, she's talking about me because all I do is post about our work and my art.
No, Rinnie.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? That's true. And I think when I was a kid, I did encounter people like that. And probably now I just don't encounter a lot of bullies like around this time, thank God. But there were people that would put me down or say like certain things, like, nitpick about things. Mm-hmm. And it just made me want to like stay quiet or like stay away from them or like people like that and try to avoid them as much as possible. And it would like that kind of thing makes you think, oh, there's something wrong with me and not that they have insecurities, because it's like, why would they try to make it seem like something's wrong with you when they have something wrong with them that they're battling internally? And I had to learn and understand that they are probably insecure, and that's why they're trying to point out like whatever insecurities that you may have. Yeah,
that's actually the definition of projection. I didn't use it correctly the first time, but it's when you take something about yourself and project it onto someone else. So I think the point, and again, this is just my little perspective from my little bit of opinion, my little space on the earth.
You notice that her voice changes when she says it. It's my little bit of perspective.
my little perception.
Just don't make it a little bit. Just be bold and make it like, a statement. Like,
so here's a bold statement. I believe, I may be wrong, that most people feel insecure. Most people focus on the things that they don't like about themselves. A whole lot of people feel anxious. And we go about in our day, in our world, battling that critical voice on the inside and, looking for proof of it on the outside. I mean, we could have a fantastic day, and then one person, I'm talking about myself, can say something sometimes, I'm not as bad. And then it'll just like affirm what the negative voice has been saying. In fact, I've grown a lot because I don't walk around like this that much anymore. So that's great. But yeah. And who wrote that poem? It was something, I think, was it Marion Wilson? Like the biggest thing that we fear is not that we're inadequate, but that we're actually so freaking beautiful and powerful and full of love and like so amazing. And that vision is actually what terrifies us the most. Well, who wrote that poem?
Actually, Mashallah read that poem on a podcast a few weeks ago. It was Marianne.
Marianne was, yeah.
It's often accredited to Nelson Mandela, but I think she wrote it.
Yeah, but just like think about that. Like, you know, what if really our consciousness about ourselves is usually so much smaller, you know, and really we're so freaking incredible and so powerful. I have to keep saying that. We're so powerful. You know, what we think and feel has a lot of power, because what we think and feel, you can literally become that vision, you know. Or we can live into that vision. And so we need to be mindful of that. And so from that perspective, faking it till you're making it is not so bad.
I was just saying that was a nice roundabout way to get back to the beginning of our conversation. Full circle.
You know, this always stuck with me. When I was in the first grade, I think I was probably 5 years old, and there was this one teacher that I had. We would have these little writing assignments to do during class, and I would always take my time to do them. And I wanted, I guess, whatever I was writing to be good, and I wanted to present something that I felt comfortable with. And when I would turn it in, or by the time I would turn it in, she would take my paper and go, "It's about time," loudly for the whole class to hear. And it really hurt me a lot. Like, it really hurt my feelings. And I just felt this strong sense of shame at such a young age. I didn't know how to tell anyone like what I was feeling. And I felt like since she was like an authority figure, I couldn't really say anything about it or how that made me feel.
So you know what, Mashallah, we're gonna deconstruct this time, shame, anxiety thing. I'm glad you're sharing these stories though, because I think we all have like our stories, you know, like the things. What was that question that we said? Not how are you, but what happened to you? What happened to you? And this happened to you, Mashallah, in school. People rushing you, and surprised you still want to hang out with us. We always rushing you.
Okay, you can call it like it is, Stephanie. You can say Rinnie is always rushing us.
No, I am too. When we were having the lunch, I was like, Mashallah.
Feels different from school, but I think I just want to prove that I can do it.
We know you can do it. It probably feels different because you know that we love you.
Yeah.
But there's something about, now Mashallah and Rinnie, you know, we always talk about race, right? So you can work like wanting to, so let me say it this way. You know, have you ever heard this phrase, Black people have to work 3 times longer and 10 times harder to prove themselves?
Yep.
Yeah.
And because of being considered less than or inferior, you know, so we're gonna show you just how smart we are. We're gonna show you just how efficient we are. We're gonna show you, honey, by the time you get 52, that's where the high blood pressure comes. That's where the stress comes. So you want to really become conscious of that. Because I mean, I think the last time I worked like that, I could have kicked myself. It was in 2020, and I took a job for this anyway. And I started falling back into this pattern of like, you know, because I was trying to fit in, you know, I got to prove myself. And I'm like, hold up, Stephanie, you don't do this. you don't do this. So we don't want to work like that, Mashallah. You don't want to work trying to prove yourself to anybody. You're already proven. You want to work if you have if everyone has agreed and you have a deadline that needs to happen, you can work to a deadline, but you're not working to a deadline to prove anything. You understand what I'm saying? You already got the job. They already trust you. They already seen your work. They already know you're good. You don't have to prove anything. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So take that part out of it,
What I always say about you, Mashallah, is you're a rock star. So write that over your computer. Rinnie thinks I'm a rock star. And anytime you start to think and wonder and question, you're like, wait a minute, Rinnie thinks I'm a rock star. I got this.
Oh.
Yeah, there's no imposter, but you have to know you're a rock star.
Yeah.
And I have gone through, oh my gosh, 20s, 30s, maybe half of my 40s, where people would say amazing things about me. Oh, Stephanie, you're this, you're that. But because I didn't feel it, like I wasn't saying it, like I didn't believe it fully, you get to a place where you can't have, well, let me say it this way, practically, you don't walk around with a fan club following you everywhere you go, every space that you're in, telling you that you're great. Like, life just doesn't work like that. And then even more so, you can't expect your loved ones, like, when you get in relationships and stuff, they're with you because they love you, they think you're beautiful and amazing, and they fell in love with you, but they're not going to tell you that every day. They're going to have days when they're just trying to get through their day. So at some point, you knowing and me knowing and Rinnie knowing how amazing we are and how powerful we are and how beautiful and how capable we are is enough. But why is that? Why are human beings so freaking incredible? Rinnie, what you think?
Well, my first thought was because we've evolved in somehow or some form, some way or some shape that we can actually think about our existence. We're not like just mere animals. Like, I'm watching my cat as we're talking, who's attacking the floor as if there's like an invisible creature that it's trying to catch. And I'm like kind of shaking my head going, there's nothing there, honey. And I don't know what you're trying to catch. She's not aware or even thinking about her existence. She's just trying to like catch this invisible creature, and if we're out there looking for invisible creatures, we're thinking about it constantly. We're going like, oh my God, I gotta find this thing and blah, blah, blah. And I think that comes back to this question of consciousness, like, what is consciousness? And that's what makes humans so amazing and so unique. Sadly, our consciousness has also created a divide, in our world view about who we are and who other people are. And that's the work that needs to be done, is kind of like to heal that divide.
So my opinion and my answer to that question is, why are human beings so amazing? It's because literally the life force in us that makes our physical bodies alive comes from the Creator, what I call our Father, comes from some divine source intelligence, some inexhaustible energy. And every person that you see that is moving around and able to think and has life in them. And which means in a sense is that you're looking at a little piece of God in everybody. Every time you see a tree or a beautiful flower or the sunrise or anything that has life in it, you're looking at a individuated and unique piece of God energy. And that is freaking amazing. And, I know we focus on our physical bodies, because it is very real. And, we're a unique kind of life form because we are physical bodies. But what animates us, that ability to be conscious of our, is to know that we're thinking, mysterious and really amazing. That's why, if we can remember that, have to have a fan club. We can just be like, I am freaking alive. I get to use this body to see, to touch, to love, to go experience. And what a gift that is. And so the imposter actually that forgets that.
The imposter forgets it's a gift. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so the imposter, the part of you that forgets its connection to this life force, this powerful love that we are, this amazing being. When we walk around thinking that we're nothing, that we're not good enough, that we can't do it, that's the imposter. Because really we're actually just the opposite. So, we labeled the imposter syndrome to mean, oh, who do you think you are? You're not a writer, you're not a painter, you're not a artist, you're not a producer. Well, actually you are.
The trick is that is holding on to the who we are when somebody is at our door saying, you're not that. You're not an artist. You call that art? You're not a writer. What kind of writing is that? And trying not to take that personally, trying not to internalize their stuff, and turning that and saying, I guess I'm not really a painter. I guess I'm not really a writer, because they have a problem. So it's just kind of being careful not to fall into that trap.
Yeah. And then this, of course, everything is about race with me sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just about race. But I mean, imagine, we have a history of a whole, not just a country, but a world, in the United States, all of the countries and the people that took part in the transatlantic slave trade and then in slavery, making money from it, that said we were not even a freaking human being.
Yeah.
Could you imagine everywhere that you went or that you could go, and every person that didn't look like you, and then even the ones that told you that you were not a man, that you were not a woman, that you were not a human being, and they treated you like that you had no freedom. You could you imagine for hundreds of years? And here's the thing, of course, some that was internalized, but a lot of it wasn't. And there were, we're the evidence of it because we're here. And so somewhere in our line, someone said, I don't care what you think. I know who I am. I don't care what you can physically do to me. You cannot stop me from thinking and feeling how I want to feel. Even if you physically can, you can't touch me. And so Black people were forced, any people, we Native American, we were forced to identify with the part of ourselves that could not be harmed. Think about that. That's how we survived.
Yeah, that was really powerful, Stephanie. And I thank you for taking it back to the collective rather than just the individual. Because I was speaking from an individual perspective of being told that I wasn't an artist. Just a couple of years ago, somebody important in my life was like, you're not an artist.
Yeah.
But you reminded me that there's more to it than just my own individual stuff. But there's this collective mindset as well that it's not, when we go into do these trainings and workshops for entrepreneurs, it's not just all about the individual. There's this collective as well that we need to remember. And I appreciate you making me remember that.
Yeah. And we need to remember it. Mashallah, when you get, in those moments, and I get in those moments, we all get in those moments. You remember that, we come from a long line of people that remembered, that identified with the part of themselves that was untouchable. And they made it through so that we could be here. We are the evidence of it. And I think what we can learn from all of our ancestors is that there is another identity besides this physical identity. Yes, that's who we are. Yeah, I was born in Brooklyn and my last name is this, and I'm a woman, or however you want to identify. Yeah, we have skin color, you know, yeah, we come from different countries and we have different professions and preferences, and we have all these intersectionalities of identities. But there is an identity that is untouchable, that connects with you, Mashallah, with you, Rinnie, whoever's listening. And that is the part of ourselves that makes us alive. That is the energetic, incredibly mysterious, spiritual part that animates this body, you know, that makes us a specific type of living being, a human being. And that's undeniable, no matter what's going on.
Yeah. Actually, you know, I think when I start any new thing or any new position, like I'll feel that anxiety. And I guess in the beginning I did feel that with this. But it's just about getting more comfortable and familiar.
Yes. Living into it, right? And letting it grow, you know, growing into it, you know. The potential is inside of us, and at some point it gets birthed outside of us, and then with practice it becomes us. So yeah, well, y'all gave me some energy, because I was like, it's freaking Friday, it's 7 o'clock. Wow, wow, I don't want to do this podcast. But we did it.
Oh, Stephanie, you always keep it real.
I know. I'm sorry. I hope I sound more perky. I hope I sound more perky. Now, I didn't mean, could you imagine turning on to a podcast and somebody's like, oh my God, hey y'all.
Yeah, I could see how you livened up a bit.
You were yawning literally at the beginning. You were like,
oh, like, I mean, if I was going to listen to this, I don't need to turn on a podcast to listen. We got a Patreon customer.
We did. I was so excited the other day. I was like, I don't know what you were doing, Stephanie, but I called you immediately, said, we have our first Patreon subscriber to the podcast, supporter. And Stephanie, do you want to tell us a little bit about who he is?
Yes, his name is Glenn Cotton. Yay! He's a dear friend, Baha'i friend. He is a educator. He's a teacher. And he's really smart, but he loves listening to our podcast to the point where he signed up to give us $5 a month to be a Patreon subscriber. So we're gonna have to, like we said, when we had supporters, we would have like some kind of special program for the supporters. So yes.
we'll be working on that, and it's not too late. Subscribe today and become a supporter.
It's not.
And help us fund this podcast,
Hit the like button, hit share, not just like, share. If y'all like I don't know what you want to call this.
I think we should have a special shout out. Also, I was putting together the podcast production this week with Mashallah. And Mashallah, do you want to tell us about our special gift from your brother and share his name and like what he did for us?
Yes. So my brother, he goes by Dion, and his company is Dion's Cartoons. He creates really awesome animations for music videos, and can animate anyone and put them in any scene, scenario. They can sing or just do whatever, and he's really awesome at what he does. He's done many music videos for people, and you can find him at Dion's Cartoons. That's DIONS Cartoons on Instagram, and some of his videos on YouTube as well.
Perfect.
I think I'm gonna start following him on Instagram.
I am too.
He did really the doggone thing. One of my friends texted me and said, it looks exactly like you.
I know. Here's the thing. I didn't know how I would look in cartoon, but I look pretty good. I like it a lot. It's so freaking cool.
It's like it captured your essence. I'm like, oh
yes.
My God.
So if y'all want to see our podcast cartoon, you got to go to our YouTube channel, WEBB Squared YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see the podcast on there. And My son said, hit share. Don't just hit like, hit share. Now, another thing, it was Giving Tuesday after Thanksgiving Thursday. It was Giving Cyber Monday. Who makes up these things? Who makes up? Yesterday, it was National Bartenders Day.
Which is probably what everybody needs after they've spent all of their money on Black Friday and Cyber Monday, Giving Tuesday. Hey, Wednesday, we need a friggin' drink.
I don't know who's sitting around making this stuff up. But anyway, on Giving Tuesday, we had 3 donors. No, it wasn't random. Rinnie put out the revolve, and then someone gave us, the meditation place?
Open Sky Meditation Community.
Open Sky Meditation, and
the name of the person was Ria Colmar. She must be the head of Open Sky Meditation. And that was a lovely gift. And friends of ours from United Church of Chapel Hill, Janet and Ed Flowers.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
And then Sandy Polson from United Church of Chapel Hill gave us like some money as well too. And these are people that I've known for many, many years when I used to work there.
So we appreciate the donations, the gifts, the cartoons, the Patreon, all the love. And I don't know about y'all chickens.
We want to invite our subscribers to be in community with us. We want to do some special things for you guys. So please become a, Patreon supporter, and we're going to have some special programs just for you all.
Awesome. So anyway, ladies, the revolution begins with dialogue, and the dialogue right now is good night, sayonara. It's Friday night, and I'm getting ready to hit the sack.
All right. I love you all, and you guys have a good weekend.
Good night.
All right, love you too. Good night. Bye-bye.
This has been a joint podcast of WEBB Squared and Afro Future Productions. For those of you interested in learning more about our work at WEBB Squared, you can find out more at webbsquared.org. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. This is our conscious conversation. We hope you will subscribe today on your favorite podcast platform. Join the Remedy Membership Forum on Patreon to join us monthly for our members-only discussion. That's it for today. Until next week, thanks for listening. What's underneath the situation you don't realize? So let's examine with a critical eye. Put on your glasses and let it magnify the truth that lies hidden under all those lies. Cause everybody has nobility, and if you look beyond what your eyes can see, you'll see they're just like you and me, and now we're giving you the remedy. Remedy.